Okay, last session we discussed about working with arrays, right? So one basic example I told you about arrays. So we need to understand how do we use arrays. Some important terms already I told you. Technically, what is an array and what is the purpose of an array, we discussed about that. Next, after understanding that, we need to know about declaring array. So we need to know about how do we declare array, how do we configure array, and how to access the array. These are important options. Actually, arrays, how to declare and initialize memory. Declaring array and initializing memory. Generally, array declaration should contain memory initialization. So, for example, we are creating an array. Actually, so let's add array.html. So we will design a simple script and function f1 and close the function. So here we are defining var some products. This is just declaration. So we need to initialize memory for the array. We need to initialize memory for array. Without initializing the memory, we cannot store values for it. So it is mandatory that when you declare array, we have to initialize memory for array. How to initialize memory for array? So memory for array can be initialized by using array meta character. Array meta character is square brace, or by using array constructor. Array constructor is this array. By using array meta character and by using array constructor. By using meta character and constructor. So the memory for array can be initialized by using the meta character and the array constructor. Usually meta character, that means we can define initializing means equal, and the memory is initialized in this way. This is array. You know that square brace is a meta character which is used for defining a range of values. It is used for defining range of values. So it is a meta character for defining a range of values. You can also define in this way. This is one method. That means example, we can initialize in this way, like this. Or we can define like this. We can use new array. You can define like this. We can use array constructor. That means we can define where products is equal to new array constructor. Now, actually, the difference between array meta character and array constructor is nothing but, as of now, no difference. Currently, it works normal. But when you are dynamically dealing with them, then you will find the difference. The difference is array meta character will allow to store any type of value, That means it can be a number, it can be a string, it can be a boolean, a collection of different types of values. Array constructor can restrict to same type values. That means when memory is initialized, you can tell what type of data the values can handle. Then it will handle only that type of data. It will not handle any another type of data. So as of now, they look same. But in future, when you are dynamically adding, then you will find the difference that array constructor is used for storing same type values. Array meta character is used for storing different types of values. Actually, that you will learn in advanced examples. So here itself, I will show you. For example, actually we have to see in a advanced, for example, demo.ts, this TypeScript it is. Here, when we are dealing with, so suppose LET, products, or say values. So values is an array. And here you will see I can put true, I can put 10, I can put A. It is valid. Suppose LET new values, it is also any. And here new array constructor. In that I defined A. After that I defined 10. And this is not valid. 10 is not valid, is not assignable, because what is the first type? Based on that it will take other types. Such things we will learn later how to handle them actually. Suppose if first type is 10, means number. Second type cannot be string. That also should be a number. That means the type of the other values, it will decide based on the first value. We can restrict like that dynamically. Later in programming, we will do that. So if anyone asks what is difference between array meta character and array constructor, array meta character so can handle any type of values. Array constructor can restrict to same type of values, but it needs implementation of understanding the type and restricting the type. That means here array meta character, so square brace allows different types of values. Array constructor. So that is the array constructor can restrict the values to similar type explicitly. Restrict the values to similar type. Explicitly means externally you need to configure logic for that. It cannot do by itself actually. So that is what actually array meta character is and array constructor is. So how you can declare or initialize memory for array? So two methods you can do. The array meta character and array constructor. Second important is how we can store values into it. That means adding values into array. How you can add values into array, or how we can initialize values into array. So here I say instead of adding, initialize or assign values into array. How you can initialize or assign value into array? Generally, how we can initialize, assign values into array? What happens is we have products. It is an array, just like a constructor I have defined. Now important is that's just products array. Now we need to configure values. We can directly define like this: TV, comma, mobile, comma, shoes, like this. That is one way. That means you can initialize values into array in this way. So that is the syntax. This is one way. Or you can define values in this way. That means you can put an array, and here we have products of 0, that is index. So that is TV. Products of 1, that is like mobile, and products of 2, that is like shoe, like this. We need to define in this way, right? Now these are the values added into it. That's how we can push the values into it. This is just syntax we are learning. So directly you can initialize or you can render value into those index like this. Actually, this is initializing or assigning values into array. You can use constructor or meta character. Directly you can initialize the values, and you can define the values. And important is how we can read values from array. This is important. This is storing value. Okay, reading values from an array. So how we can read values from an array? Actually, for that we can use array property. You can read value from array by using the array properties. Actually, Array properties, what are array properties actually? Generally, array properties, observe carefully. When you allocate memory for array, suppose you defined like this. Suppose we declared var and products, and here we are defining some array. Into that we are storing some values. Into that we are storing some values. So like TV, like mobile, like this, we are defining some values. Now the memory for array will be allocated like this. So we have products, right? And the memory will be allocated in this way. And important is in the memory, this is first one is 0 and the second one is 1. That is actually index number. But very important is the name of that index is known as property. That property is also a 0. It is a string type actually. So I will access here the property. These properties are string type. You can access by using this index, or you can access by using this property. Both are allowed. It can access by using both techniques. So 0, 1 are actually string. They are actually string type. But they are generally referred as index usually. People usually refer index. But actually they are not directly referring index. It's not number. They are string type actually. I will show you clearly. They are actually string type. For example, see, what many people think that they are using index number here 0, 1, 2. That is not number actually. That is a string. Then you write in quotes also. It is valid. It is valid. You write in quotes. It is valid. It is valid. Right? Actually, you are writing properties. These properties are string type actually. So you can write like a string, or you can write like a number. So I will show you the point here. See, let's take this one like this. Suppose we have TV. So we have mobile, and we have shoe. Okay. See here, I am writing a logic for where property in products, and I want to print document.write. I want to print the property. So that means I want to print the property. I want to print the property. And after that, in the square brace, I want to print its a type. That means type of property. Type of property. Type of is an operator to understand the data type. Type of property. We are reading all the properties in an array, and we are printing all the properties. And we are also accessing the values. And temporarily I am writing here products of property. Don't worry about my logic. You will understand later. I am writing a logic to show you what is actually the data type of the properties usually. When I run this, you observe carefully here. I am writing a simple loop to read all the properties of array. And you can see it will print them. Observe carefully, all are string type. 0, 1, 2, they are string type. They are not numbers actually. They are string type. So you are using these properties. I written a logic to read properties and to understand the data type of the property. To understand data type of property, we have an operator called type of. Through the type of operator, I am reading the data type. You can see they are string type. They are not number type. But many times we have seen people calling as index number. Generally, people say that arrays elements are accessed by index number. Actually, you don't directly use index numbers. Actually, you use properties, and the property names and index names are same. That's the reason you feel like you are using index, but actually you are using property. Array properties will be the same name as index name, but in the memory index is number, but while referring it, its reference is actually string. That's the reason. This is one example actually. This is one example. That means this is an example that you can even try. Later you will try about that. If I want to read, so this is an example that you can try, right? So you can try later. With for loop, you can see. Actually, the output will be like this. The output will be like this. That means it will display all the properties and values like this. And its data type is property type is string type. Property is a string type. That's the reason if I want to read the elements from array, I can use like this. Products. So document.write. I can write like this. So dollar here products of. You can see here I can define 0. That means first one will come in the next line. I will use again dollar products of 1 number style I will use. So here I am writing in a number style. Here I am using in a string style. You can see both are working fine, no problem. So generally people think that it is index number. Actually, it is not index number, it is property name. The property name will be the same as index number. That's the reason we feel like it is index. But you see here, I am accessing like a string. It is working. You may say that I am here using number. Na? You are using number, but it will convert into string actually. And it is the same name string. That's the reason no problem will come. That means here 1 is a property for array. So what are the array element properties in memory? Usually array element properties in memory will be like this. In the memory, they are stored as index. People call them as index. So when you are accessing, we call them as properties. Properties. Through properties also you can store a value, send a value. Through property you can read the value. Through property you can send the value. So actually all properties are index type only. Even you write 0 and you want its data type, it will show as a string only. But 0 is actually number. Why it is showing as string type? Because you are thinking it is index, but it is actually a property. Actually a property. So that is how we read and access and use the values. That is the reason why I have to tell this, because when we are reading values from HTML controls, then what happens is HTML controls by default send a number, and or by default this send a string. You don't need to convert. Suppose we have a text box. In a text box we have value, and the value I given as 1. In a text box, even you type a number, it will be treated as string only. Then it will go to that string reference and it will read. So without converting, you can read the value from that particular array reference, right? So you don't need to convert. It can directly access through the property. In the early days of JavaScript, we don't have this facility. In early days of JavaScript, we have to refer through a number only. Then lot of problems are there. So when we enter anything through text box or checkbox or radio button or something, every value comes from HTML string, and we need to convert the string into number, and then we have to use it. Conversions are very much required in the early days of JavaScript when we have to read from a collection. But now conversions are not required. Directly it can handle string also. That is one specialty, ability, and new concept into JavaScript. So now JavaScript arrays can refer the elements with a string type reference also. So HTML will not feel any difficulty in that. It can easily handle it. Let's see one example how to manage that. Let's see one simple example. How do we manage that? Suppose for that we are designing one simple approach here. So first we understood how to read the values. That means what we can do is we can define. So this is the approach. Directly I will give like this. This is an example. So we are storing the values and we are accessing the values. So array properties, and important is array properties. Array properties are string type. HTML elements can directly interact with their properties without conversion. That is important. That is one important point you need to understand. So that is array properties are string type. HTML elements can directly interact with their properties without conversion. Right. So let's see how to handle this. One simple example, we will see how it can actually access it. From string type, how it can actually manage. Let's see that point here. For example, suppose for that I will give you a simple example of, let's design a new array example.html. Let's create the head section. and link relation is equal to style sheet, and href is node modules bootstrap dist css and bootstrap.css. Okay, and I will use here a simple link relation is equal to style sheet, and href is equal to fonts css all dot css. The font awesome also I'm using body class container fluid. Okay, fine. Here we are designing a simple screen for presenting information. So let's take a simple card style. So div class is equal to card. Okay, so here I will keep a simple header. So just card div class as a card header, and here we have defined a title. So here we defined a heading. So heading. So initially we will just use a heading. Suppose Amazon products. That's it. Okay. And below this, I will put a div and a class as a card body. Okay. Here I have an image source, image ID as pic. So width is equal to some 60% or 50%. Okay. So height also 50%. Okay. Next, below this, I will keep a div. So class as card footer. Okay. And here we defined a simple input type is equal to number, a numeric up down. So min is equal to 1. So max is equal to some 5. Like this we define. Okay. And here by default value is 1, or by default value is 0. Here we put min equal to 0 because our array index starts with 0 to 4. So some values we have defined. Okay. Later we can change the index references actually. Here you can see, now this is the design we are having. So here I will keep a header as a text center, and here text center. Okay. Now we need image. So body also text center. Okay. I need an image here. But image should change dynamically. Image should change dynamically. I need to view the images. You can use number, or you can use range. Range will keep a slider like this. Input type range will keep a slider here. Now important is we need to show a picture here. We need to display picture here. So ID is pic. Now when user is changing this slider, the photos should change. The products should change. Then here I am writing a script. In the script, type is equal to text / JavaScript. And in the script here, I am defining a function function. Or first we will declare where products is an array. This array is a collection of path images slash I define tv.jpg. So dot images slash shoe.jpg and dot slash images slash shirt.jpg and dot slash images slash t-shirt.jpg, right? And dot slash images slash jeans.jpg, like this. I just defined them. So we need all those images here. So already we have those images. We have these images. So tv.jpg and shoe.jpg. So we have some JBL speaker, earpods are there. Shirts are not there. Okay. I'll just keep here. Yeah. JBL speaker. Okay. And I said earpods. Okay. And we have some other options like, okay. So we have some fine. So we have some mobile1.jpg, mob1.jpg. Okay, these are there. So we created an array. This is an array. And in this array, we just have those image paths defined there. Now what should happen is, when user is changing this number range, when user is changing the range, we need to collect its value. How to collect the value? So it should have an ID as slider. Okay, we have to collect this slider value. We have to collect the slider value when user is changing the value. That means we need to write a event called onChange. OnChange is an event that fires up when user is changing the value. So onChange, I'll say change image. Change image function will be called. That means when user changes the value inside this input, this function will be called. So we will write that function here. Change image function, change image. Okay. This change image function will be called when user is changing value. Okay. What should happen is it should collect the number. It should collect the value from slider. So that means slider value is equal to, it should come from, so where slider value slider value will come from document dot get element by ID slider dot value. That means from the slider we will collect the value and we will store the value. Remember, the slider is this one, and slider value is a string type 0. It's not number. In the quotes means it is string. Its minimum maximum values also string only. So we are collecting that slider value. It is a string type and storing it here. Now what we are doing is, We are collecting the picture also. Picture ID is pic. So document dot get element by ID pic dot src source is equal to, it will come from products array. Into the products array we will pass slider value. That means into the products array we will pass the slider value. That means if slider value is 0, if slider value is 0, what will happen? If slider value is 0, it will pass 0 here. That means products of 0. But remember, slider value is a string. So array can accept that string also. And in that index property, 0 property, first picture is there. It will bring that first picture and it will assign as source to the picture. It will assign as source to the picture. It will define source to the picture. And remember, whenever user is changing the value, the new value will be updated here and it will display. Not only that, what should happen is, when by default I want one picture, then what we can do is, when body loads, means body have on load. When body loads, we will call a function body load function. We will write that function here, function body load. What should happen on body load? Remember, array is a global variable. You can access anywhere. So what should happen is, document dot get element by id pic dot src is equal to products of 0. Here I am passing, and above we are collecting as string, just to show you the variation I am using it. That means now what happens here is, so whenever body loads, the first photo will be displayed here. And you can see that the body loads, the first photo should be displayed there. That means on body load, we need to access and display that value. So that means the products of 0, that is the index we need to configure. And here you can see, press F12, the debugger will come. In the debugger, so currently, so we are not having any error. So I will open this. Yeah, here when I'm changing the slider, the photo should come and display. So we will see in the debugger, is there any problem in these sliders and values here? Because we need to create the functions and define the function correctly for that. Let's see. So some problem here. Text JavaScript. Yeah. So those functions names are important here. Okay, it's working fine. So here on body load, we are collecting this array. So this is a products array. The picture source is important, is displayed or not. Image have an ID. Fine. picture path, everything should be fine. So it is present in JavaScript. The image source is not correctly working, right? Let's see that. So card body image is not working fine. Here yeah, image height width have some problem, right? That's we adjusted. Okay, fine. So some 400 width and 300 height. Okay, height width of image is having some issue. Fine. Now you can see this is the image. Now I am moving the slider below. Below you have a slider. I am moving the slider below. When I move the slider below, then it has to get the next picture and show. I'm moving the slider more, then it has to get the next picture and show. And we are moving the slider, next picture it should get and display. Right, so this picture path may be wrong. So that means this images here slash JBL speaker. So we have an image called JBL speaker.jpg. Right, so that image path is wrong. Here I will define dot slash images slash JBL speaker.jpg. So image path is wrong, then it will be displaying a different image. Now it is working fine, right? Now when I am moving the slider below, then it is getting that image and it is displaying that image here. Now here the point is we are accessing the values. We are accessing the values and displaying the value. Later when you can create, you can keep the buttons also. That means the next and the previous buttons through a number based index or a text. Usually, for example, this image. So this is the image in the body. So above the image, I kept a button here. I kept a button here. And inside this class as BTN. And BTN some primary outline primary. And here we are keeping a span and F class we defined as FA, and FA some previous or next like options are there. So previous we will give or next. Okay, so I will search here font awesome have any previous icons. You can use general font styles also. We know font awesome. In the font awesome icons, we have any special previous and next icons. So that is font awesome. And in the icons, I will search for previous. That means we have any previous and next icons. We can use those previous and next icons so that on button click, we can manage that. So here it is having arrow circle left, or we have chevron circle left. we will use this chevron circle left. We will use that chevron circle left. Right here we are using FA and chevron circle left. Circle left. That is the chevron circle left. So that is the font we are defining there. That is the font we are adding here. It will be like this. It will be like this. And right side, I will use another after the image. I'll say chevron circle right, left, right combination. And you can see there is right. Okay. Now important, on this particular button click also, the previous and next should work. On the button click, this is next, this is previous. Currently it is working on slider. On previous and next also it should work. So on the buttons also it should work. We should collect from an array. Then what we have to do is, so we can use the event for this button. This is on click. On click is equal to, this is previous click. Fine. What is the next one? Next one, on click is equal to next click. That is the previous click, next click functions. Now what should happen here is we have to write logic. So we will declare a counter. So where counter is initially 0. Okay. Count is initially 0. And the function we will write previous click. On previous click, count should be minus minus. Count minus minus. That means the count value should be decreased by 1 and it should be assigned to the count. Now what we will do is we will get document get element by id pick.src. Pick source. This time it will come from products and into that we will pass the count value. That means when user clicks previous, count will be decreased by 1. Count will be decreased by 1. After count decreased by 1, that count will be passed into this array. This time, this is not string, this is a number. Okay, similarly, what should happen on next click? Function, next click. On next click, counter should be plus plus. It should be increased by 1. So here, document get element by id pick.src is equal to products of count again. And later, we will discuss about code reusability. Code reusability means instead of writing again and again, we can write and call it anywhere we want. Those techniques we will learn. Initially, on next click, count is already 0. It will increase by 1 and that 1 will be passed here. You clicked again, it will increase 1 plus 1. It will be passed there. Now I will save this. I will refresh here. I click on next button. That means next image will come. I click on previous image will come. And I click on next, the next pictures are coming here. And I click on previous images are coming. But here you have problem. Those problems we have to solve with logic only. Problem is nothing but, suppose I click on next and after this last I click again, then empty photo will come. Why? Because there are no photos. Count is going to increase continuously. Then it's not a big problem. That is simple. What we have to do is we have to write a condition. If count is maximum length of array, then again set to 0 or again put the last one. Such logics we will learn later. Don't worry about that. That is not the main point here. Here the point is we are learning how to read the value from array and how do we present the values of an array dynamically. Here I am using a simple array and reading and writing values into the array. And for that we followed this approach, right? So this is a simple point to understand about how to use array. You can use the slider also. By using slider, you can move it. Remember, when I am moving this next and previous, if I want, I can make this slider also move. How we can make this slider also move? Slider also should move because this count value should be applied to that slider. That means what we have to do, document dot get element by id slider dot value is equal to count. And the same thing we will define here also. That means slider value will change. Slider also will change. Observe carefully now. I click the next, slider also is changing here below. You can see slider also changing because the slider also links to that. When I move previous, it will go to the previous. I click next, it will go to the next. Slider also should change when I am clicking these buttons. Slider cannot be same. That's the reason we have to apply the value to the slider. Then we can easily handle this. Later we can write conditions and define, right? But this is one simple example of how do we read values from an array. This is just to understand read values from array. Some more examples we will see how to add values, how to remove values, how to search for values. So many things are there. This is one important example for dealing with array. I will copy this example and you can try this example. This is the complete example of general array, how we can deal with it. How we can add values, how we can remove values from array. Dynamically we need to understand. That we will see tomorrow. So sorry, Monday we will see about how do we work with some more examples with array combinations. Okay, you try this. Monday we will continue.